Hello everybody. I'm a little early, so I wanted to just, I go through and I grab extra nails so that I have them on standby in case something happens during the live. So I thought I would just grab a few today real quick before we get started because I'm super early. Okay, let me see. Excuse me. I am healing, but not quite all the way there yet. Ooh, look at that one. Oh my gosh, we love that. What is that? What size is that? Let me see. Excuse me. Yes. So I just, I take a few out, one for every finger size, and then I put it to the side in case we have a. Ooh, that's pretty. Which set was that from? In case I have a wardrobe malfunction, and so I'm set and ready to go. So, yes, and some of them are adhesives, so that's nice too if I'm in a pickle. But this is not what we're doing tonight. I'm just grabbing my extras here for a minute before we go on tonight. So, okay, I've got enough. So these can go back into the cave here. Good evening. Hello. Hi, Chris. Excuse me so much. My goodness. My cough goes away for a while and I'm like, all right, yay. And then it comes back. I'm like, oh, boo. It's a roller coaster of emotions. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, these are these are all of the ones that, of course, I've never worn. These are the extras. And it's very helpful because sometimes your nails will come off, right? And so it's nice to have a couple of extras because I lost these two when I was making dinner. These two here. So I was able to just add to them. So, yes, I am, Jelly Kelly. I'm so glad you asked me that. I am using honey, and actually I have these really cool like stirrers, and on the bottom is honey, and so you stir it and it's like, what? That's so crazy. I love it. I'm working on it. It's definitely better today. Each day's getting a little bit better. So yes. So this is my little nail collection. Well, and then this one here too. I'm a little early again. I'll be grabbing my documents in just a minute. Here's my other collection, right? I mean, I don't know. Is that too much? or as my kids like to say, well, that's consumerism at its worst. So that might be a nice one too. We might be able to use that. I'll put that one to the side. All right, anyway. Oh, can you sort them? Oh my gosh, that'd be so fun. Nail sorting party, that would be fun. And then I have these. Again, these are all the ones that I've already worn on my lives and various things. And then I just have extras here. So let me put them back underneath the table where they go. They're a lot of fun. I really enjoy. How long have I been collecting? Oh, that's a good question. Let me see. When I first started over here on the talk, I started, I think two years ago, almost 3. Excuse me. And I just painted my nails, then, but I had some holiday nails and I was wearing them and people just loved them. And so now I'm like, why do I have to paint my own nails? Why can't we just do this? This is fun. So yeah, how they're different every day. Exactly right. Oh, salsa cups. Yes. Well, I have all, you probably heard that, but I have all these little containers. And what I do here is like whatever sets of nails I use during the week, I put in here in case, I have an accident, something happens. So they go in here after a week. And then these are my 2 file nails. But then after that, then they go in the big bag. So I got a system. But, I look at it like this. Hello, Scooby. I look at it like this. I don't have to wear a suit in heels. I just don't. So for me, I just really it could just be like, hey, look, I'm in my pajamas, with my nails. So that's fun. We love that. Hopefully everyone's weekend's been going okay. The Sunday scaries, those are for real, for sure. So we gotta be careful about that. I'm glad somebody finally labeled that, rather than, just being like, well, yeah, I still want to go tomorrow, but oh my goodness. Excuse me. I do have a cough drop and I do have lots of liquids. It's been exhausting. Oh, I tell you what, Jolie, I tell you, oh my goodness, it has been exhausting. It really has been. And you just kind of go up and down and up and down. And I feel like a lot of the creators here who are kind of in the law politic world, I try to stay more towards the law, but they're together quite a bit. They in the pool, you can tell because about half of us burn out at a time, and then like the other half comes in and picks up the slack, and then they burn out, and then we come back. So none of us can do it every day, all day, every day. That's not possible, except for maybe Amanda. I don't know. She's on some superpowers, I guess. It's a lot. It's a lot. Hello, Elizabeth. Yeah, it's the Tang. It's the Tang keeps me going for sure. For sure. I agree. I agree. But anyway, for tonight, enough of that shenanigans. Hello, Dolphin. Welcome in. Welcome in. So listen, I tell you what, it's taken me a little bit of time here. I think it was Aaron Parnas. I'm sure I'm saying his name wrong. Sorry. But he was the one that first announced that this fella here was filing a lawsuit against the government. So it's actually against Mr. Orange himself. So he's labeled it U.S. federal government, Mr. Orange here. So that's interesting. Yes. So, excuse me, I think a lot of them probably are ICE. But if you think about it, it's probably hard to, find much work that's not like that. It's going to take a little time for that to happen. So anyway, he was the shaman. I hesitate to use the word shaman because I have, just anecdotally, I've met quite a few of the shamans in my lifetime, and this behavior would not be what they would consider shamanism. And so I struggle to say that word, but alas, that's how he refers to himself. So we have that. And so I will be reading through that complaint tonight. I'm going to wait about 10 minutes though. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. Sherman, call him Sherman. Oh my gosh, Dolphin. Oh, that's so beautiful. I love the fall. I love the leaves. I love all of that shenanigans. What I don't like is the Supreme Court coming back into session. I could have used another 6 weeks. That would have been nice. That would have been nice. So, but I do have a question. Again, I will get up and running here soon. I had put up a post saying I would start at 7, so we got about 10 minutes or so. So here's my question. I don't understand what this is. I'm not trying to be, offensive, but that's huge. That full blackout like that would have been, first of all, painful. But what is that? What are our guesses? Hello, El Jenny. For 30 trillion. Yeah, this is for the big dollars here. You're wondering the same thing. Yeah, I'm not sure what exactly it is. I thought it was like some kind of an axe, but I don't know. Hello, Dusty. Welcome in. Welcome. It looks like an anchor. Oh, okay. I'm gonna write this down and I'll process it later. That's my entire life in one sentence here. All right, an anchor for a ship. That could be, and maybe like this part of it is like a special. They have different anchors, right? I'm not sure. Is it Thor's? I don't know. Does Thor's hammer have? Well, let's turn it over. Let's turn it around. I can see it. I can see it, but I'm wondering. I think these would need to be flatter here, and then I don't know that there was a thing at the end. Oh, it's a Viking thing. A pendulum axe. Oh, really? Oh my goodness gracious. I don't even know what that is. I mean, I can imagine, but chess piece. Okay. Viking sword. Ooh, both of those are good. Yeah, because we've got this sword. Wait, I'm not sure if it's a sword. I mean, well, I mean, is it it could be a sword. Well, I don't know. Okay, let's get real. Let's get real. I'm going to give you my honest opinion. I don't think this part's long enough for it to be a sword. But it's, you just never know. And a chess piece, I think, is really good. It was on sale. Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh. A tattoo that was on sale from a questionable tattoo artist. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my gosh. That's so funny. Oh, my goodness gracious. And could very likely be the truth here. Because we could be like, oh, hey, this is the shape. Let's practice. Who wants to practice? Oh, my goodness. It's a cheap ass depiction of a monolith. Okay, could be. Hello, Nani. Welcome. It's definitely not long enough. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, right? I mean, it's not going to be... Wait a minute. Are you guys trying to trick me again like you did with the pens? I get tricked a lot, all right, everybody? Confession time. I get tricked all the time here because of my innocence. I'm just a sweet, innocent person. Oh, my goodness. Not a ship. Oh, not a ship taker. Okay. Yeah, I think I suppose it depends on the ship, I suppose. Okay, GPT says it's a Vulcanut, a Norse symbol. Whoa, that's fascinating. Ooh, I wonder what the Norse symbol's for, though. Google says it's Thor's hammer. Okay. It's his favorite toy. It's got a flick. I'm not saying those words. All right. Fool me once, shame on, the fooling. I work ships. Okay. All right. We love that. That's got to be a cool job. And then sometimes not a cool job. Okay. Says it's right. The Majoiner. I'm not saying that right at all. Majoiner. All right. I don't know. Burger King hat? Yeah, maybe. It doesn't have enough details, right? Now, just so that we understand what's happening here. And then we have this little, gear, or, there's all the squiggles, going on there. What bothers me just a tad here, and I know some people are going to get very upset with me about this. What bothers me is every time I see this picture, I'm thinking he's got 3 of the things here. You know what I mean? 1, 2, and then 3's over here. And it freaks me out. Not because you can't have 3, but just because of how he incorporated it into the tattoo. And that's a bit of a struggle for me. Yeah, that's a good question. Tree of Life. Oh, that's lovely. Ooh, the sun wheel. Okay, well, forgive me, but we're going to just kind of cover this spot up, all right? Just so I can feel more comfortable. I'm not sure exactly what we're dealing with, but I appreciate your patience. Is he mooing? It's like a prison. I'm not sure if he's been to prison. But we've got some he's got some cool tats over here. I mean, that's pretty cool, geometric. And over here, it looks like he's got another cool symbolism here up on his shoulder. And these are little spikes down here, but they don't meet because this is empty. And then they come out. Here's some more stripes there. So he's got some good stuff. I mean, I think it's hello, Lee BW, welcome. I think he's got some fun stuff. Now that's off of what he's wearing. I do not see that, but I'm also not an expert in the tattoos. Ready by the hat. I feel, to be perfectly honest with you, I feel like he probably made it. Now, I'm not trying to be like, you can't do that, but I think something like this, if he did buy it, then he would have to kind of make it his own, He'd have to kind of, work with it and modify it a little bit. So I think he made it himself. But I'm absolutely okay if I'm wrong with that as well. He wants his hat. Oh, my goodness. Walnut, really, from Odin. Ooh, all right. So that's cool. That's cool. Well, he's crafty, of course he is. If he is a shaman, which is what he claims, self-proclaims, he can make do with whatever he want. I mean, the shamans are the MacGyvers of the druid worlds, right? Everything I just said was incredibly offensive to myself. I'm sorry. I don't know. I think sometimes, I mean, it seems like he's not going to be, going to Amazon and purchasing it, but I could be very wrong. Could be very wrong. He may have gotten it, though, on his travels, so not have made it himself, but maybe, hello, Steffi. Your eyes have melted. Now walk through it. Walk through the pain. Oh, we're just chitting-chatting here for a few minutes, giving everyone a chance to come on. The post that I set up said 7 Central, and we've got just about 5 minutes left. So I thought, excuse me, I would, ask these kinds of questions. So, pardon, the coughing will settle down. So let's take a look here at the picture. We've got, of course, J6. This is inside. They're not supposed to be here. Is that what's that on the flag? Is that a zip tie on the flag? All right. But this fella looks very intense here with his like two levels of beards. He's got 2 beards going on, short and long beard. And we have an officer here of maybe a DC officer, I can't tell. He's like, excuse me, he's like, do you mind? Can you go ahead and leave? That'd be great. This guy is like, you're not gonna find me. So that's what we're dealing with. This guy's making some kind of sound, we could all guess. But look at the veins popping out of his neck, right? Yikes. And then this guy's like, And then that one's like, you'll never find me, you'll never take me alive. Oh my goodness. And then of course, this is just one picture of hundreds of thousands that are out there. Is it Pop Pop? Okay, I'm gonna look at it again. Pop Pop says it's a ponytail hanging down the side. Ooh, yeah. Okay, now that you said that, oh my goodness, I can see it. Because I was gonna say, why would you only grow a really long beard on like half of your face? Like, why would you do that? That doesn't make any sense. But some of these people are so different. Who knows? I'm like, I don't feel like anything's off of the table. So if they wanted to do like half a beard symbolic of like, whatever's, I wouldn't say that that's wrong. That's his hair. Thank you, Kat. Yes, so that makes more sense than a two for bill beard. Oh my goodness. Okay, everybody. So again, forgive me. My cough is almost gone. It usually just starts a little bit here and then it will go away. Excuse me. And I'll be back in the green zone. Thank you, Thomas. Oh, I know, Willie B. We got some weird stuff going on this app. Some shenanigans. Really? Heathenous. That's interesting. Huh. Yes, well, Pop, I tell ya, I don't know. My family, if I wasn't doing like the robo plus the cough drops, they wouldn't be able to sleep at all. So, paganist movement, separately used. Really? Oh man, don't you just hate it when an incredibly important symbol in religion, like you all know what I'm talking about, is taken over by a horrific group of horrific people, and then you can no longer use it anymore. And that's like really sad. That makes me sad. Zip tied to, is that well, I wasn't sure. Oh my goodness gracious. Who said that? Stacy? Oh my gosh, look at that, everybody. I think she's right. Look, here we go. We'll have him help us. I think that's oh my gosh, they turned it into a spear. Or they tied the flag onto a spear. All right. My goodness gracious. But that's a spear is a peaceful sign of let's roast something over a bonfire. It's so awful. Yeah, it's a spear. It's a spear. Yeah, I know, really disturbing. You know what? I have to tell you all before I dive in, which we've got about 2 minutes here, but I have to share with everybody. I'm so thankful that you all are understanding when I get things wrong, because there's all kinds of weird stuff that I have never heard of or never done because I am a bit isolated. I'm out here in the sticks and I'm stay pretty close to home. So there are a few things I don't have any experience or knowledge of in the real world. So I'm always thankful when you can educate me on that. I'm very appreciative of that. Yeah, it was a peaceful protest with a spear, right? I don't think they've got any buffalo over there. Right. Yes, conspire flamingo. Oh my gosh. That was so funny. Yes, that's going to be our new secret language. Oh, that's so funny. My goodness. All right. Here we go. I'm seeing the clock. Oh my gosh. I can't laugh too much. I'll dehydrate myself. Oh, well, thank you all. He's a Viking. Okay. Well, we've got some Viking things here, but I mean, that looks like a raccoon. Now, I'm not trying to be, rude, but I mean, are there a lot of raccoons in the Vikings era? I'm not sure. I'm just not sure. Now, I'm not saying that only the United States has raccoons either. Don't let me say that, but I'm like looking kind of, into the Nordic region. He's a looker? Who just said that? Who just said that? Casey. I'm not sure. Oh, that's awful, Daisy. That is just awful that they've adopted. It's so terrible when people just take these wonderful, well thought out and honorable symbols and turn them into something that people who have this much kind of hate would use. So, white foxtails, are you sure? I'm not sure about that. I mean, this is striped here. I mean, this one's striped. Maybe that one. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of what would make this so this was reasonably priced. You know what I'm saying? Like, if these were white foxes, that's going to be expensive. And these are like, just raccoons. I mean, no offense, right? But they are, cheaper. So I would say this would be a better purchase if it was coyote tails. Oh my gosh, could be. You don't know who lives in the Nordic wooded areas? Come on, VC. Prefer a man that wears less makeup and doesn't draw on himself. Fair. To each their own. Well, right. You want to get a deal, right? Hi, Lulu. A steal of a deal. So you're not going to be like white foxes. He doesn't want to get arrested for that. He wants to get arrested for, pooping on the halls of Congress. All right. Enough fun. We're right at 7 o'clock on the dot. Let's get this party started here. Oh, Marvin. That's so funny. $120 for those same tails. Really? All right. Well, okay. I'm going to have to take some time and think about what's going on there with all this new knowledge I have gathered together. He doesn't have gray fox money. Well, here we go, everybody. Thanks for coming by. Excuse me. Excuse me again. It usually only takes a few minutes for my cough to settle down when I start talking. So, hello. All right, so and I think the problem we were having, VC, and I've not double checked, is that we were just referring to him as Chansley when it's Angeli Chansley. That's just a wild guess. We had a really difficult time finding this petition until one of the amazing people in my chat direct messaged me with the link. So hashtag I adore all of you. Thank you so much. That's the only way I've been able to find it. I've not been able to find it other than that in the beginning. So, right. The So here we go. This fella here, all right. So this fella, I'm I'm not sure what's going on with him, but he has filed a lawsuit. He's filed a lawsuit against the federal government as well as Mr. Orange here. So if you are interested in following the case, here is the number here. Now, spoiler alert, I believe that the powers at be will probably say that this is immediately tossed out because if it's missing something. All right. Now, if he got all of the things right, though, if he filled out all of the pieces he's supposed to, it could go forward. But then, of course, we have all kinds of other things. The government would, of course, ask for a motion to dismiss immediately and so on and so forth. So, jurisdiction, right. Yeah, the eye bleach, it never helps enough. I know, right? We had somebody last night in Amanda Rose's very interesting, always, and colorful panel discussion. And I felt like the person that left one of the boxes, I was like, is he going to clean that box? Because the next person that comes up here is going to be in that box. Oh my gosh. I'm not sure. Chaos coordinator. If you DM me the name, I will be happy to take a look at that. Yes. Anytime, just DM me the name. All right, so here we go, everybody. Here we go. This was filed in, let me put my sticky note here is not doing, luckily this is up here, but we don't need personal stuff up there, but other than his name. So Mr. Jacob Angeli Chansley, Maricopa County in Arizona, has filed a civil complaint against the U.S. federal government and Mr. Orange here. Now, we're going to look at what the pre-filled out form is, and then we'll get started on his 20-page run-on sentence. All right, Maricopa County. The value is over $10,000, right? Replevin or other non-monetary remedy will take place in a different county. So he wants it here. We don't need to take it anywhere else. He resides in Maricopa. Defendant resides in Washington, D.C., although that could be a question if he's in D.C. or Florida. I suppose you could debate that. The defendant does business in the USA and abroad. All right, so that's how he's labeling Mr. Orange. And the U.S. federal government. That's one of the things that's going to get me every time. We don't have one defendant. We have two. I'm not sure who IMF is. Does anyone know? Is this short for International Media Forum or what? I'm not sure exactly. But we've got the federal government here and then Mr. Orange here. Oh my gosh. Ew, that's what I was just wondering. Whoa. Ew, David. Great minds think alike, right? Monetary funds? International monetary. Is he suing the International Monetary Fund? Oh my gosh. Okay. We'll just put this up here. I don't know how that's going to go down. How do I send you the most expensive gift on TikTok? Oh, I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. Oh my goodness. You're so sweet, Go Live Vegas. That's so sweet. All right, let's jump back in. Here we go. Like squirrels everywhere. Oh my gosh. All right, here we go. Events here occurred in Maricopa. So first of all, hold on a second. Defendant does business and the offense, the act or debt subject to this complaint occurred to Maricopa. So we're going to have to look and see how he set this out. So if he is saying, I was harmed at home, or if it was a DC Gen 6 situation, we'll have to figure it out. All right, next up, discovery tier. So tier 3, actions claiming $300,000 or more in damages. All right, so we're getting some idea of how much he's wanting back. We have the plaintiff is Jacob Angeli Chansley, the defendant in this case. So we've added more than to the beginning, right? So the U.S. Fed government, the Fed Reserve Bank, the IMF, did he put the, is this the or some other acronym? I think it's the IMF, World Bank. What the World Bank do? Bank of International, hold on. International something settlements, Mr. Orange, X-Core, T-Mobile. Whoa, T-Mobile. Yikes, International Monetary Fund. Thank you very much. That's exactly right, everyone. And why? We don't know. T-Mobile, NSA. Is that the space? NSA? No, I'm thinking of NASA. DARPA, Warner Brothers Studios. Whoa. And the State of Israel. Oh my goodness gracious. I will continue by saying the state of I. Oh my gosh. All right. I'm going to take a moment here. I have not read through this because I wanted to have my first viewing of it with everybody here. Yeah, he's suing everybody. Well, he's not suing us, all right? So first of all, that's a win. Statement of facts and breach. See attached documents and exhibits provided. All right, so good. You know, this is actually very nicely written. It's very neat. That's good. So here is the statements of facts and a breach. Again, not to be mean, but this is just, there's no paragraphs. It's just one ongoing description here. All right, so no paragraphs. Like you might think, well, that's a paragraph. No, it's only because that name is really long. All right, so it's one paragraph. Look at going. Well, oh yeah, oh the grammar, everybody. If you are a grammar sensitive, look away. All right, let me make my sticky note real quick and then I'll be diving in. Let's see. This is the, we'll just do J6 Shaman, although as you all know, I think that's not quite right, but whatever, that's how he identifies. Versus, okay, personal lawsuits against, here we go. Against the U.S. government and Mr. Orange. We'll just make it easy. All right, so Mr. Orange is here. Orange. There we go. That's a really nicely written note. For anyone who's coming against the world. That's right. All right. Oh, I'm looking at it now and my OCD is like, that's not okay. Hold on. I'm just laughing too hard. Okay, let me get the proper, you need the right pen for the job, and that was not the right pen. Here we go. Let's do a take two here. All right, lawsuit. Here we go. Against U.S. government and Mr. Orange by J6 Shaman by J6 Shaman by J6 Shaman, also known as, here we go, aka Jacob. And then here's our case. We'll just call him Jacob. That'll be fine. I say that and then I'm like, no, that's not appropriate. That's not gonna work. Angeli Chansley. All right. I do have a thunderstorm coming in, everyone. So if you do hear some extra sounds, it's from the thunderstorm. It's going to be a fast one, so it should be over pretty soon. 3, 4, 2, 8, 6. Okay, there we go. Got to be more professional here. All right. All right. Here we go. Statement of facts and breach. Right here. Now, the first couple pages, I do have it marked just where the periods were, so I could get used to this style. So we're ready to go. The more you read, again, this guy, all right, this guy right here. The more you read, the more sense it all makes. The more you see, the more your heart breaks. The United States government knows that according to Marbury versus Madison, all laws which are repugnant to the Constitution are null and void. So, of course, I appreciate that he's citing his case, but, of course, we don't know where. But that is one of the most used quotes from Marbury v. Madison by this administration. However, that has not stopped them from continuing to operate a clearly unconstitutional system while they target American citizens to do it. For example, the clearly unconstitutional Organic Act was passed into law in 1871 and was later repealed in 1874. However, the effects of the law's passing remain to this day in spite of it being unconstitutional. The same can be said for the Federal Reserve Act of 1913, which is also an unconstitutional law that is currently affecting the heartbeat of our nation's economy and the amount of food Americans can afford to put on the dinner table. You know, I still think it's better than some of the filings that we've seen from you know who. This is pertinent because I am asserting that this current corporate federal government has no legal standing or authority according to the Constitution of the USA. If we examine the pattern of large financial peaks following the large economic crashes that seem to have been engineered since the Federal Reserve Act's passing in 1913, the pattern becomes obviously nefarious. Right. The owners of the Federal Reserve have been treating the American economy like a rigged casino or a government-mandated Ponzi scheme. The large shift in wealth after the clearly engineered crash of 1929 and the subsequent depression mirrors many other such shifts in the financial dynamics of the American people and other nations alike. Recent examples include the allowance of fractional reserve banking or the way the government helped engineer the housing market collapse by allowing banks to create collateralized debt obligations. Okay, again, friendly reminder. Here, let me just put him in the frame here. All right, this guy's the one that's filing this. Both examples are indicative of the system's rigging against the interests of the American people and the interests of the less than 1% of the population that own the Federal Reserve. So I'm wondering, though, who owns it? He didn't say who owns it. Did I miss that part? I didn't see a person's name in there. Is he talking about, yeah, I think he's talking about probably the super wealthy and the global systems of finance. Moreover, when we see that the government then bailed the big banks out with taxpayer money after the collapse they enabled, we once again see a pattern of evidence that points to this government using its authority to transfer wealth from the lower and middle class into the pockets of less than 1% of the American population. We also see the clear pattern of writing laws and regulations for the less than 1% of the population and at the expense of the American people. All right. I would also like to note that our founding fathers warned us about the dangers of the banks and the banking system. They also warned of allowing judges to be the sole interpreters of the Constitution. Jefferson ensured to remind us that to trust on the judges to interpret the Constitution would lead to oligarchy. If we study history, we can see that such a misstep is in fact the origin of America's plight. In many ways, ever since FDR and the creation of the bureaucracy after the crash of 29, the Supreme Court has been treated as the sole interpreter of the Constitution to every American's detriment. Right. Well, and as I pause this here, I have a question I have a question. So he's saying like the focus is on the 1% of the American population. Let me ask this question because I don't have a computer available. Do we know the population of the transgender people in the United States? Do we have an approximate ballpark of percentage? Does anyone know by chance? That seems to be one of the biggest targets, right? Change of wealth. Yeah. Where's this family? Where's his family? Why haven't they taken him in? Less than 1%. Thank you. Thank you, Beth Rue. All right. Yeah, less than 1%. So look at how small this is, right? When he keeps saying it, you're like, what? Only 1%? And then if you look at our trans population that's like down here, it makes you think to yourself like, wow, a lot of people are going after an incredibly small number of other people. Right, right. I mean, again, I just wish that would click. That people would understand that. All right, thank you so much for your help, chat. Appreciate it. The simple fact that the American people are stuck in an obviously bad deal that was made by a corrupted government in 1913, what? is not a legal argument worthy of making. I thought that's what he was saying. I thought he was making that argument. And the fact the Supreme Court, if they are to be the sole interpreter of the constitutions, has not worked to overturn such an unconstitutional law. I feel like he's using the Constitution like he's referring to it like as a person. I'm getting that kind of vibe here. Oh, 1% the world is in the world, not just you. So, okay. Holy buckets, Batman. That's a small amount. It is further evidence of the federal criminal courts being as compromised as the rest of the unconstitutional bureaucracy it's allowed to run rampant. Especially considering that according to Marbury versus Madison, in 1803, all laws which are repugnant to the Constitution are null and void. There, look at this. Look at that. Now we've got a citation. This leads me to believe that ChatGPT has entered the room. Furthermore, it is unconstitutional and a violation of my God-given rights to force the corruption of a previous generation onto my generation because that generation agreed to pay the ever-increasing interest on it was sure a long time ago, on an inescapable loan. And again, just to remind everybody, I should put him on here. There it is. I also assert that due to this legal fact, it's clear that constitutionally speaking, our government is guilty of treason because it clearly is prioritizing the interest of a foreign financial system over the interests of the American people, and at that ever-increasing expense of the American people. This corruption has caused life, limb, blood, sweat, tears, pain, and suffering. That's quite the list. And irreplaceable loss. This has resulted in a tremendous fear in the United States for decades, allowing those corrupt entities who control the government to commit countless violations of our constitutional contract. All right, so before we get into his example, let me give another example, right? So the Constitution sets out that every state in its sovereignty is to make laws in its own state, right? So criminal laws in their own states. But we also have a DC, right, which is also covered, and in the federal government as well. So I'm thinking to myself here, if you're not following the criminal code, then, you're essentially violating the Constitution, because the Constitution said the states in charge are DC or the federal courts, right? So my thought is he's standing in the halls of, a poopy Congress, and this is not legal. This in and of itself is a violation of the Constitution. So he may need to tread lightly as we go through this process. All right, there you go. So I'm going to just put him up here, everybody. Hopefully you can turn your phone, but I feel like he should be in here somewhere so you don't get into trouble. All right, here we go. For example, I'm sure the Founding Fathers would have considered Operation Paperclip an act of treason, because I know that I do on its face. You would think that bringing over 1,500 schmutzy scientists, doctors, and intelligence agents that tried to unalive millions into the United States after World War II, and then giving them high-ranking positions in our own government would be considered treason, because it is, but not in this corrupted financial system we call a country. So this is a bunch of BS, okay? But you can Google it. I mean, there is an actual Operation Paperclip situation, but it's not this, but you can certainly look it up. Right. What is Project Paperclip? Nothing. It's just an example of the government, apparently. Oh my goodness gracious. It's something new every day, everybody. I also believe that our founders would say that getting the United States involved in the war in Vietnam under false pretenses also qualifies as treason, as outlined in Article 3, Section 3. Well, I don't know. We are still debating that. And given the suspected involvement of the I government in the attack on the USS Liberty, we must draw attention to the fact that the same entities who own the Fed also own the deed to the land of I. Okay, wait. Okay, wait, what? Oh my gosh. That one got me, everybody. Hold on a minute. We must draw attention to the fact that the same entities who own the Fed, like the federal government, also own the deed to the land of I. Yes, there is an actual, what is it, paperclip? Yeah, there's an actual Operation Paperclip, true, but the details of that are, they're different. They're not as clean cut here. Okay, all right, the land of I. More on I's suspected involvements later. I'm on the edge of my seat. I am sure the Founding Fathers would consider conspiring to involve the U.S. in a war under false pretenses to aid this foreign financial apparatus as a form of levying war on the USA and a form of giving its enemies comfort by allowing them to profit from the loss of American lives in an unnecessary war. These facts indicate that the war on terror and the subsequent, quote, Patriot Act, and again, this bothers me, it's called the USA Patriot Act because it has to have 3 more words before Patriot, all right, are also acts of treason as well as according to Article 3, Section 3, especially considering the wars were started without congressional approval, and the way the USA Patriot Act was pushed through by a known, I don't know if that's true, so I'm going to cross that out, person I don't like, who was Speaker of the House at the time. The USA Patriot Act was clearly empowers this foreign financial apparatus within the U.S. to go to war without traditional constitutional methods of declaring war outlined in Article 1, Section 8, Clause 11. All right. Right. Once again, Marbury versus Madison, quote, all laws which are repugnant to the Constitution are null and void. This is like a 40-page opinion. And he's like just taking out, I wish he would have read more because that really could have helped, with the analyzation of what he's doing here. Once again, right? So these are the egregious and clear violations of the Constitution in every way, shape, or form. Yet they have been permitted to continue until now. Unfortunately, these violations have accumulated over decades in order to maintain this corrupted and unconstitutional financial system. And that has resulted in this pattern of 20 years wars and financial crashes repeating and getting worse over time. On its face, these are all clear breaches of constitutional contract. I'm not sure what that is, constitutional contract. And according to the Founding Fathers' view of tyranny and treason, many currently residing in positions of power across the USA, in government and in the private sector alike, are all guilty of treason. So again, I pause because there's no paragraphs. There's no natural pause in this because it all just goes on with no indentation. So let's kind of take a look at this here, all right? There are a couple things. You're innocent until proven guilty, right? We haven't had a trial. We haven't had any probable cause. So there's no way to actually see someone guilty of treason if someone doesn't charge them. So, and he's saying there's some kind of constitutional contract. Again, that language is a bit odd. But one thing that I think would be helpful Yeah, I reduced it to a contract. One thing though that I think would be helpful, that I think a lot of people struggle with a little bit. Let me write the question out here. So, how do I want to phrase this? Let me make sure I get it right. If you violate the Constitution, right? Then what happens? That's the question. All right. So he's saying that they are specifically going against the United States Constitution. So my question then is, what is the next step? If you are violating the Constitution, what happens next? What happens next, right? With a violation of the Constitution. Right? Because we've got all kinds of weird violations, right? One of the big ones that we've seen recently was when the president's like, well, Mr. Vice President can just do blah, 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 blah. And that's not true at all. That's not true at all. Nothing if a Taco Bell. Oh my God. Oh my gosh, Taco Bell sounds really nice. No, seriously though, although funny. What happens? Let's just say, Mr. Orange is walking around and he's like, I'm going to take over the post office, which is clearly against the Constitution to do that, right? There's a list in Article 1 of the things Congress is in charge of. And one of those things is the post office, right? So he comes in and he's like, that's it. That's going to be mine now. It's going to be mine. I'm taking the post office, right? A direct violation clearly of the Constitution, because the Constitution says Congress is in charge of the post office. So what happens then? So, right. What happens? Impeachment? Everything happens? Right. Treason, impeachment, congressional hearing. Okay, those are some good ideas. Let me write this down so I don't forget, okay? Okay, we've got impeachment. Let me get this. There we go. We have impeachment, treason. What else? What else happens? Enjoinder. All right. Okay, so he's like, I'm going to take over the post office. Okay, sure, Kaya. So the question here is, what happens if someone directly violates the Constitution, right? So the example I was given was what I was trying to work through here is, what if the president goes and says, I'm taking over the post office. The post office is clearly under the jurisdiction of Congress, and that's written in the Constitution. So that's specifically in the Constitution. Congress is in charge of the post office. So Mr. Orange comes out and he's like, I'm taking that post office now. Okay. So what happens next? And the questions then are he gets shamed. Wouldn't that be impeachment, immediately to jail, immediately. But I mean, right. Wouldn't that be interesting? But it's a valid question, right? So what happens if you're violating that? Which, we seem to be smack his hand like a kid. Oh my gosh. Come on, everybody. Y'all need some Tang tonight. You're low on Tang. A trial, nothing, because he has the votes. Oh no. Congratulated by Alito and Thomas. Oh my gosh. Lawsuit, coffee drinker for the win. Yes. A lawsuit is filed. All right. A lawsuit. That's where I was trying to get you all to go, but I wasn't doing a good job. That's my bad. So we file a lawsuit. Right. Nancy, you're already like 10 steps ahead of the lawsuit. All right. So, excuse me. Yes, of course, it's a lawsuit. So if someone directly violates the Constitution, some people may say like, yeah, well, that's it. You're done. It's over. But the Constitution doesn't charge you with something. The Constitution doesn't sue you, right? I mean, it's government design. So for you to take over and go through and do something that goes against the Constitution, right? That's got to be placed somewhere else. So the reason, again, why we're putting this in, why I'm talking about this, is we have court cases that have said that Congress has duties under Article 1. Because of that, just that, already we have a judicial law or precedent that's saying, no, you can't do that. And so the next thing is the lawsuit. And again, I bring this up. Thank you, Thomas. I bring this up because, when we're all feeling like, oh my gosh, the Constitution's getting trampled over, everyone's just like burning it or whatever it is. The 430 cases now, the 430 cases that have been filed against this administration, they are saying he is violating the Constitution. I mean, that is what happens. That is what happens. And by violating the Constitution is because the Constitution has given jurisdiction to the federal government to create the laws and the states to create their laws, right? So if you take that next step, all right, you're violating the Constitution by not following the federal law. All right, you're violating the Constitution by not following federal law and state law, right? I know, in 9 months, right? Oh, I know. Well, yes. Figuratively, yes, Big Grandma, you're not wrong. There's some trashing going on there. But nothing that can't be fixed. It's too slow of a process. Now, I'm glad you said that too, Marconius. Most interesting name ever. You raise a good point because it takes a long time. It takes a long time because, let me tell you why. Because one step at a time, we go through and make sure everything is perfect. Now, we all have this kind of idea that you want progress over perfection, right? Like your whatever you're working on doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be progressing. That's not the same in the law, because if any wrong misstep can lead to that case being tossed. So especially in our criminal cases, they take a really long time. Our civil cases, they take forever, primarily because you're still trying to get information from like the enemy, so opposing party. So we take so long to do things so that we don't miss anything. Does that mean that we never miss anything? No, absolutely not. But that's why it takes so long. And recite the oath in Congress. I think that's interesting, but I don't think it would make any difference. Right? I don't think reciting the oath would make any difference in Congress at all. So that's my thought. But anyway, so remember that. You're like, that's not constitutional, right? The birthright citizenship, not constitutional. All the firings, not constitutional. All of the hirings of incompetent people, also not constitutional. All of those are violations of the Constitution because they are violating federal law. And a violation of federal law is a violation of the Constitution. Right, exactly. And again, though, even though it takes that long, it can still have a lot of problems. All right, let's dive back in now that we've had our little mini lecture here on what happens if you violate the Constitution, right? Right. Well, right. There's no caring at this point. What they do care about, though, is if someone's, in their path of crazy with like a little piece of rope and then they get clotheslined, that's how I'm viewing the legal system right now. The legal system, everybody, is two trees, right? It's got a string and then the bad guys are running and then boom, they're down by the string. They'll get back up again, but at least for a moment, they're down. The hiring of RFK is unconstitutional. That's a good question, but we'd have to look specifically to how the government has set out the discretion for, his cabinet. And I will tell you, we've had a president before. Gosh, what was his name? I always forget his name. Where his, poker buddies, he shipped them in from Ohio and they made up the cabinet. They had no idea what they were doing. They were just like basically spending the cabinet and all of the people's money. I mean, they knew nothing. They were just poker friends. So that just definitely happens. Hello, Carrie. That absolutely happens. Misinterpreting the Constitution on purpose. Yes. Oh, I don't think it was Truman. No, it wasn't Eisenhower. No, it wasn't Wilson. I'm sorry. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. It's kind of like one of those that we don't really hear about that much. But it would have been kind of that 1920s era. So Harrison, that sounds right. Is that right, Simply Carrie? Was it Harrison? Ooh, now you're saying Monroe. Oh, I don't know. All right, everybody, you're going to have to look it up. That's homework for tonight. Just look up Ohio Poker Buddies Cabinet. Just look that up, and then it'll tell you the president. Oh, all right, here we go. Here we go. Back in it. So there we have it. That's just keep that in your mind here. Especially considering that many of the unconstitutional laws have been passed or kept on the books for decades without any attempts to quell the corruption, to fix the obvious unconstitutional flaws in the system. The use of unprovoked warfare and engineered economic collapses seems to be the formula for those behind the Federal Reserve Bank. Now, it's things like this where that would be in the column of, can we just toss this out? Do we have to do anything? That would be in the yes, you can toss it one. I make these claims because over the course of more than a decade, I have personally suffered both unprovoked warfare and engineered economic collapse at the hands of this unconstitutional and tyrannical state. If our government is able to engineer economic collapse in foreign nations and keep their unconstitutional wars going in a foreign nation, you'd better believe that they can do it to an individual and no one would ever suspect a thing. However, when viewed in the proper lighting, every abuse I have personally suffered, the American people have also collectively suffered. In particular, the Black community has been targeted by this government since the civil rights movement of the 1960s. And as a whole, they too have suffered a similar targeted harassment from demoralization campaigns at the hands of the schmatzy Fed-controlled government. All right, we're going to stop again here. And again, because there's just no paragraphs, I'll just make a little note here. Was it Harding? Okay. Woohoo. Awesome. Oh my gosh. Thanks everybody. Thank you. Yeah, I'm not kidding. Harding actually, okay, quick side tour. Harding actually has been viewed as one of the, I mean, not anymore, but one of the worst presidents of all time. He was incredibly popular, though, with the American citizens, with American peoples, the voters. The voters loved him, but he was crooked. He brought in crooked people, and they made a crooked road, and they made a crooked house. You know what I'm saying? And one of the biggest ones was how they took all of the veterans benefits and veterans money and figured out a way to just keep it rather than it going towards the Veterans Affairs Bureau. That was huge. That was a big one. So really bad dude. Bad dude. But again, at the time, incredibly popular. It wasn't until he left office and people started looking into how things were going that they realized how bad it was, and people were held accountable after that. I know, right? So, and that's what I'm saying. This isn't our first rodeo. It's just our first rodeo with a kind of modernized technology that we have now, which makes it even easier to find. Publicized here, nowhere else. Which one? Catty Kitty, which one? Because he did that. No, go look up the president, man. We just found out who the president was that did all the bologna sandwiches. Go look it up on whatever your trustworthy looking up place is, all right? Take a peek here. All right, so we've got those kinds of issues, and now everybody knows who the president is that we were talking about. Right. His filing is a rant. Okay, thanks, VC. Appreciate that. I wasn't sure. There's a lot of things that could have fit with that, with that comment. And it is a rant. But I would say there are enough legal words in here to get it in the door. So, and I'm guessing that's probably because of ChatGPT. It's a manifesto. Meh. You should look up Andrew Jackson in the kitchen cabinet. That's funny. That's funny. I should. Yeah, I try to not do too much. Oh, thank you so much, French Irish girl. Yes, I always think of my grandmother when I wear it. So sometimes I miss her, so I wear it. But I think it's important, to note this. Again, this isn't our first rodeo, but alas, it's not good. It's not a good thing. Here we go, diving back in. Once again, this government's levying war against the American people, and in clear violation of Article 3, Section 3, people suffering, my personal suffering, and the government abuses have taken place in the shadows of secrecy, as is the nature of evil. Pausing one more time. What's interesting also, one of the biggest issues that I don't know, I don't want to say it's good or bad, but one of the biggest issues that seems to be happening in the 430 cases against the administration is that the plaintiffs are so quick to file that sometimes they file too quick and they don't fully flesh out what they need to. The other piece is that standing is always what the government pleads first. The very first thing they will say in order to get the case dismissed is you don't have standing. Every single time, because they toss it in there and force the other side to prove they have standing. Standing just means you've met the requirements to bring a lawsuit, because you actually have to have some requirements to bring a lawsuit. I know it's weird, but standing is always at the top of the list. All right. The next one that the government always uses for those who are interested is that it's some kind of executive power. So it's some kind of power given to the president. This is the pattern in every single flipping case, right? So it doesn't matter what it was. It could be like, let me try to think of the most ridiculous case. They're all actually pretty serious and not too, yikes, let me think. They took all of the information off of websites. Well, why? First of all, you don't have standing to bring that case. And second of all, that's under the purview of the president, right? And then the judge is like, it's not. But these are the two first arguments you will always hear. Justiciability. Justifiability. Well, maybe. I mean, it's a piece of that, but it's a bit more. The rule for bringing a lawsuit is called the Lujan test. All right. So if you go and Google the Lujan test, that's going to have like 4 or 5 factors. You have to meet those factors. And if you do, then you can bring the lawsuit because you do have standing. All right. So there's a little side road there. Side quest. All right. So what I was saying, though, here is that he is applying the harm to himself. And by doing that, he is laying the groundwork for possibly having standing, because it's not just like I see it around and it's hurting other people. It's hurting me. And if he starts going through and giving examples of real life harms done to him because of that, so causation's got to be in there as well. He's doing a great job, at least with this one piece of it, showing how it's negatively affecting him personally. All right, back in here. My financial life and the average American's financial life have been made very difficult by this puppet government for the banking cartel. Now, I'm not familiar with that particular cartel. Interesting. And if this pattern of treasonous wars and economic collapses is evidence of anything, it's evidence of that hard truth. Due to the fact that I noticed this problem and set out doing something about it, I've since been targeted by this unconstitutional government in some ways that seems friendly at first, then becomes extremely hostile and even involved mortal peril at times. Whoa, that's it. That's exactly it. He has just described the administration here. So I've been targeted here. First of all, you get targeted if you aren't doing what they want you to do. Next, some ways are friendly. So they're friendly at first, but then they turn extremely hostile. And then after that, then they can come to hurt you. So I think that's a pretty good understanding. Oh, really? Really, Navy vet? Is it? Is it? Oh my gosh. I just can't stay. I started off by saying there's some things I still don't know, everyone. And so I'm thankful for being taught here. Okay, good. I'm glad you told me that. That's something new. I'm going to file away. Blaming the administration on his actions. No, I don't think at this point he is. I don't think that's it yet, but I think he's noticing that, it sounds good, but then when you actually get into it, then you get harmed. So again, another kind of harm situation to justify having a lawsuit. He's not thinking that, I'm thinking that. Consequently, the government has continuously violated my God-given rights. You don't have any God-given rights, all right, under the law here. Perhaps somewhere else you have God-given rights, but we only have constitutional, statutory rights enshrined in the Constitution. Nope. And in fact, again, I know a lot of people come for me on this, but this sounds like a mix-up between the Declaration of Independence and perhaps the preamble of the Constitution, neither of which are actual laws. All right, so neither of these are laws that can be used in a legal argument. Right. So, sorry, as I have continuously attempted to save America's constitutional republic, all right, from this foreign financial powers tyrannical grip, due to the nonviolent nature to the psychological warfare and illegal precedents that have been made as war has been waged on me and the American people alike. The situation has escalated considerably over the years. With that escalation, I had the forethought to gather some transitional evidence, oh goodness gracious, that will be presented to the court in a way that will prove my case is both self-evident and inarguable. Well, if you're in court, nothing's inarguable. The U.S. federal government knew that it was a violation of the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution every day that they illegally surveilled me and my computer with classified technology and techniques that were intentionally designed and legally specified in the unconstitutional Patriot Act, again, the USA Patriot Act, which, by the way, has expired. All the pieces of the Patriot Act have expired, with the last piece expiring, I think, last year, actually. All right, so the USA Patriot Act to hunt criminals and terrorists on foreign soil, not American citizens. So not only are they violating the Constitution by passing the law, they're violating the Constitution by using their cyber weapons on American soil as well. Oh my goodness. In order to understand how we all got here and why my case against such a powerful system being irrefutable, we must put everything into context. To do that, the court must start with a phone call that I made around the spring of 2008. Oh my goodness gracious, where I spoke live on KFYI Conservative Talk Radio. Oh my gosh. No, this can't be happening. No, I just can't believe this is happening. I'm taking a moment, everybody. I'm going to take a sip of my tea and pretend that didn't just happen. Mm-hmm. He is doing the Lord's work. Now we're on the phone with the talk radio. Oh, all right, well, let's see what happened. All right, let's see. In that phone call, because we know everybody incriminates themselves constantly by just saying everything they did. In that phone call, I spoke of a disruptive, patent technology known as a Tesla coil and its ability to give everyone free energy. Oh my gosh. All right, here we go. It's all right, everybody. It's gonna be okay. I also proposed the notion of burning money to protest the government's printing of money and the creation of inflation. In the intelligence community and national security world, this single phone call was equivalent to, metaphorically, blowing up the airwaves with a call to action against the system. I therefore inadvertently created an unexpected national emergency below the surface of the government security clearances and NDAs. So, So this phone call he had with the talk radio is what triggered it, right? That's the trigger. He doesn't know. I'm sorry, everybody. I have to stop laughing. Hold on. All right. That's crazy. All right. Here we go. I have to stop laughing. I say this because the Fed's debt-based, excuse me again, petrodollar is fragile in the presence of such technology, and the entirety of the media apparatus has been carefully and strategically planned through FCC control to ensure that voices and messages like mine on that day do not travel on the FCC's unconstitutionally controlled airwaves. Is this really happening, everybody? Is this really happening? Because I usually don't read this kind of stuff. But this is a document that's been filed in court. I mean, this is like a court document. I would argue that this is also clear form of the government practicing prior restraint on the entire nation's access to information, and therefore further evidence of this current government's unconstitutional legal standing. I'm not sure that's the proper legal violation there, but all right. I knew that my stunt on the radio got the government's attention because when they put the segment on KFYI's website, they called the segment, quote, Tesla's Coil. While this may seem insignificant when you understand that all radio stations and most of their DJs are a part of the intelligence community, I did not realize that, everybody. I did not. Let's just double check so we all remember this, okay? When you understand that all radio stations and most of their DJs are part of the intelligence community, you know that my call made a national impact. Also, when I attempted to replicate the process elsewhere, does that mean when he tried to go on other talk shows? Other radio stations had their doors metaphorically locked, or probably actually locked, right? In addition, I noted that a short time after I pulled that little stunt, the movie The Dark Knight came out. Stop it. Just stop it. That's a Batman movie, right? Oh my goodness. And in that movie, the Joker burned millions of dollars in money and blew up a whole police station with a single well-timed phone call. What? Yeah, lock everything up. These seemingly insignificant details will make sense in context as time goes on. All right. A short time later, in the spring of 2009, we are only at 2009, everybody, okay? While I was writing America's second Declaration of Independence, what? I still have one, everybody, of what we had written down. I'm keeping it in a safe place because I don't want to get, the FBI in here. The U.S. government illegally hacked my computer to observe the words as I typed them over the course of several hours. Okay, again, court file document. Court file document here, everybody. All right. Yikes. They knew their surveillance of my private computer was unconstitutional. However, the government never believed that they would get caught or that I would lead them into a trap. If you will examine the evidence presented, Exhibit A, you will see that the words treason, sedition, and violence are used throughout the document. This purposeful linguistic bait was used to lure the government's national security surveillance software and illegal tracking system into a trap. Goodness gracious. Well, we've got to look at Exhibit A, right? Hopefully I printed it. I may not have, because this is a lot. Here. Did I print Exhibit A? I may not have. No, I didn't. Sorry, everybody. I remember there came a point where I was like, I just can't use my toner for this. It just isn't. What? Well, it's just not right. All right. Here we go. Due to the fact that I have over 10,000 exhibits, I've placed all exhibits on a Google Drive until discovery. Here's the website, everybody. Oh my goodness. Applicable law supporting the claims. Marbury v. Madison. Article 3, Section 3. Article 1, Section 8, Clause 2. Thank you for doing this. Well, sure. I'm like, what is this dude doing? Oh my gosh. All right, all right. So there we go. Too many exhibits, and I don't think, I will tell you a little inside bit here. They do not like when you just give them a thumb drive. That's not appropriate at all, especially now. You'll have to send those exhibits in one by one. So if you got 10,000, you might want to just pick the most important ones then. Oh my gosh. All right, all right. Let me finish up here. Excuse me. And then we can kind of do a Q&A. I apologize. I try to move away from the mic, everyone, but I'm kind of trapped, so I can't. All right, here we go. These trigger words in the document triggered government national security protocols written into the computer software that I was using, and that's why my screen popped up on a government screen somewhere. He could write a book without due process. You only get due process in court, not just for fun. My personal Declaration of Independence and nonviolent war was declared, but in a way that should have been private and beyond the government's reach without a warrant. I knew that the government saw what I wrote on my private computer because the movie Avatar came out. Oh my goodness. How is this happening? Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness gracious. The Avatar came out. Hello, Kimmy. Yeah, Kaya, that's right. Avatar. So now we know the government knew what was in his computer. This may seem trivial to most. However, the proximity of its release to the writing of the Second Declaration of Independence and the things I said in the Declaration regarding the Native American tribes and their lands cannot be ignored. Excuse me, I believe that. That's important. When the main character's name is a former Marine branch of the Navy named Jake, who was recruited into Super Soldier Program. When the government targets an individual, they can, and just everyone, so you know, if they take my life down right now, that must mean that all of this is true. All right, I'm just gonna put that out there. And we'll use all assets at their disposal to triangulate the targeted individual's mind into a personal subjective universe that's controlled by the government. Oh my gosh. If you examine exhibits A, number 2 and 3 out of 10,000, you will see this movie's timed release is significant, as is Michelle Rodriguez's presence in the film and her line, quote, I can't, how did this happen? All right. I was hoping for a tactical plan that didn't involve martyrdom. So that line was part of it. These seemingly insignificant facts are designed to seem insignificant on their face. But if a person were in the loop of what I had written on my computer a few months prior, those details would stand out to a sharp mind. And when you see the other similar patterns in my journey, you will see the significance of these details. And we move forward in time to the autumn of 2017. Now, I'm not going to go too far here because we're going to have to wrap this up for Q&As, but let me just do one more sentence here. When I was writing my book, One Mind at a Time, a deep state of illusion, and the government was watching my computer there as well. Another violation of my Fourth Amendment rights. And when I was about to publish that book, I was contacted on Facebook by who I thought was Michelle Rodriguez, my celebrity crush. What truly piqued my belief in a potential connection was the fact that she said my name in one of her live chats with her fans. She has since deleted that video. Good for you, Michelle. But I have more proof of our correspondence. After she said my name in her live chat, I began commenting on her photos with poetry I'd written just for her. Oh my goodness gracious. Oh my gosh. Michelle, do you know this guy's out here? I then noticed she posted more photos and posted visual images of herself that seemed to be responsive to my poetic comments. Yeah. All right, here we go. Finishing up. So I kept sending her poetry I had written for her, and eventually I received a message request from her on Facebook, and I happily accepted it. Now, we're going to stop here, everyone, all right? Because that's where we all need to stop. So what are our thoughts here, everybody? What are our thoughts? It's going to get locked up and committed. Well, there's a lot. Yeah, all of this is a court document. He has filed all of this. And if you look actually at the filing, so he filed it on the 22nd. He would have had to have done it by hand because he wrote this piece out. But it's a new complaint, and it's $367 that he paid to file this. That's a lot. That's a lot. That's quite a bit to spend on that. So again, we're just in this very interesting place here. Well, we will. I will probably come back and read a little bit more. I kind of cut myself at 1 hour of reading as I continue to get over this cold here. He must not have an attorney. Well, yeah. Excuse me. Yes, I don't think he has one. Seems like he needs help. I think it's interesting because, again, if you are harm to yourself, here's the number right here. That's why I was doing that. If you're harm to yourself or others, that is the question when it comes to needing to go into a mental health place. So if he's just out here with, with a manifesto, like that's not enough. Thanks, VC. I'm sorry, everybody. I can tell I'm getting to the end of my voice usage tonight. Yeah, commitment. Exactly. I try to not use that particular word, but yeah, that's correct. Stop her laughing, trying to figure out what the fuck. They could go two ways. I think they probably first were laughing. And then when they started reading it, they probably were like, this is what's happened. We have this happening now. Maybe a disbelief could be it. Might be a danger to Michelle. Well, that's why I'm wondering, does Michelle know about this? But, if it's a fake account, which I have no doubt that it is, I doubt it. I doubt that she'll have any idea. Yes, Dania. Oh my gosh. Yes. Kristen, hello. It is sad, Casey. It is. And as I've said throughout all of my readings, sometimes we have to laugh so that we don't cry. Am I right? I mean, that's what I do. I laugh a lot. Who's he suing? He's suing the government and Mr. Orange. Well, I think for the Michelle piece of this, it's not necessarily, some kind of relationship. It's just the obsession piece or these movies, it's the part where the focus is so, pointed, just so blinders are on and you're just focusing here. That can really be troublesome for people because you miss everything else that's going on. Yeah, intense or obsession, right. Well, and we don't know if he hasn't gotten help. We don't know. He could have gotten help, which led him to a point where he felt like he wanted to do this. He felt like he was compelled to file this. So, again, maybe that was because of treatment that he has. We just don't know. We don't know either if we're really in the area of a mental health issue. I would say this kind of behavior that is so obsessive could, we're kind of in that OCD kind of land. So he was supposed to be getting some help in prison. Yeah, that's the thing. You get put on a wait list in prison. Oh my gosh. Our healthcare in prison is like some of the worst ever. Yeah. I agree, Casey. I agree. I agree. One day the movies will be out on this. Well, I think he could write a book. Like, dude, write yourself a book because this is great book material. Like, hey, I've got a theory. It's like Da Vinci Code, right? I mean, just like, you could be the next Da Vinci Code, Mr. Shaman fella. Yeah, it could be. Legal clinic in prison, yes. But whenever you think of any of the services in prisons, the one thing I always try to tell people is whatever you're picturing in your mind, you need to go about like 25 to 50 times worse. So if you think that there is, addiction treatment, maybe, but it's going to be one person sitting in the corner whispering, all right? And if you think that there's going to be help getting into the law or various other things, no way. Our prisons are so underfunded that they just don't even have the resources for it. At least there's something, though. At least there's something, and that I think is commendable. So, but as far as getting help when you go into prison, that just does not happen that much anymore, unless it's like one of those posh ones. I think the posh ones do a good job. As a quick side note, did everybody see Diddy's sentence that he got? I can't go through that case. It's just too horrible. But, oh my gosh, mental health. Exactly. I mean, I don't know why it can't be the first priority. Then everything else can come in easier. 50 months. Yeah, and it's supposed to be in one of the worst prisons we've got here. Right. Yeah, 50 months. 50 months. Pilot programs, yes. But if you've ever spoken to people who are hired to teach in prisons, of which I was one, quite frankly, and I went and I scoped out the prison and looked around and was like, oh, I want to help. But when I walked away, I was like, I can't do that. First page, the list of parties at the bottom. Sure. Here we go. Let's get a little bit closer here. There we go. So here's our parties here. And then, let me move my hand. That's my screenshot noise. And then down here, we have plaintiff here and then defendants. Yep. It's scary. I've got nothing but mad respect for the people that go into the prisons and do the teaching. Nothing but respect. Because that's really not a good situation. But on that light and happy note, yikes. I'll go ahead and say goodnight for tonight, everyone. Thanks for coming here and hanging out with me. I appreciate you all so very, very much. The website for his Jeep, for the thumb drive. Oh, of course. My pleasure. Yeah, let me get the, this is where he's asking for $40 trillion down here, right? Oh, yes, thanks for coming. Yeah, thanks for coming and hang out. Okay, hold on here. I'll give you the website. Here it is. There it is. All right, screenshot, everybody. Right, so, and who is suing? It's this guy. This guy's suing. Yes, indeed. Well, thank you all very, very much as well. Take care. I'll be back again. I've got the one of the next things I really want to get in on here is the Oregon ruling that came out from the judge regarding the National Guard. So that'll probably be my next live. So take care. Have a great night, and I'll see you all again very soon.